What's going on, Sanctuary? I'm PoolNoodleX, and today I present to you the most notoriously overpowered build in Diablo 2 Resurrected. The Hammer Paladin is capable of clearing literally any content in the game the moment it clears Hell difficulty. I personally avoid this build because it genuinely feels like you're cheating, but that doesn't change the fact that it's absolutely bananas. Also, my cat decided it was going to join me for this intro. But the goal here isn't to bore you with the intro, so without any more of a delay, let's get to the action. For the gear on Chad, or his other well-known alias, Kyle, I will have this broken down into two parts for an early set and a mid to late set with some additional late-game swappables. For the early set, we have our regular caster gear with a spirit sword, some gloves with magic find, a couple of random rings, and a 4-slot belt with some resistance preferably, a pair of boots with magic find, run speed, or resistance, spirit shield that you can make insanely early as a paladin as if they weren't already unfair, a stealth rune word for the chest, a simulated skill ammy with eye, and then a lore helm to finish it off. With this early set, you can see your hammer damage easily get over 5,000, and as a reminder, that is magic damage. For the late set, I'm using a Hoto for the skills, FCR, and resists, Mage Fist for the FCR or Chances for the MF, a couple of skill rings of your choice, a Rax for the skills and the FCR, War Travs for the MF or otherwise some high-res boots like Alders, Spirit again, but this time maybe in a higher res base, Skins for the FCR and the skill, Maras for the skills and the res, and then the green garbage bag commonly known as Shaco. I didn't use any items on swap, and some popular upgrades for this are Herald of Zakarum, as it's a 4-skill shield, CTA on swap for the big shout buffs, and of course Enigma for teleport and everything else that's on Enigma. I only used 4 skillers for this, and as usual, anything and everything can be swapped out for whatever you want to use. This is just what I'm using to showcase this build. For the skills that absolutely kills, you want to max Blessed Hammer and its 2 synergies, Blessed Aim and Vigor, and then you want to max Concentration Aura. This aura, for whatever reason, works with your magic hammers, boosting them from around 3,000 damage all the way up to like 12 to 13,000 with this gear. With your remaining points, you'll want to get 1 point into Fanaticism in case you ever decide to take a swing at Ubers, since it only takes 1 point to actually do it, and then the rest can go into Holy Shield to keep you at max block. For the Statatatas, we have just enough strength to wear all of our shit, enough dex to give us max block depending on what shield we're using, and then the rest goes into Vitality. For the Merc, I wouldn't rely too much on them in the early game unless you run an Act 1 Cold Bow with Insight, because it's not likely that they're going to live otherwise. You could make a pretty tanky Act 5 Berserk Barb with Lawbringer and some other tanky gear, but I prefer the mana regen from either of the Insight variants over this. The playstyle on this one gets a little complicated, but that's only because you have to pay attention to your positioning for the hammers. The hammers that you cast begin just above your character within melee range, so the most ideal way to quickly nuke things is to charge to the lower side of the mobs and cast from there. Keep in mind there are quite a few different methods to doing this. Another way that's a little safer is to first aggro the mobs, and as you're corralling them, start spam casting to give yourself sort of a hammer barrier. They do enough damage to drop anything that comes within range, and it's less likely that you'll be hit this way. It's just a little bit slower. Objectively, this build can clear every single thing in the entire game, including Ubers, and at a decent pace as long as you're good at aiming the hammers. I put this up on the cow clapometer to see how it compared to everybody else, and it hammered out a solid 3 minutes and 16 seconds, putting it at a close third on the overall list. In my opinion, this build actually isn't that bad to play, and I'm happy I finally gave it a go. I can honestly say it isn't my style of gameplay with having to specifically position yourself, but if you're looking for something to get you through every single part of the game with minimal argument, this is probably the one. It's getting a 9.5 out of 10 for an overall score. Do me a favor and subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell, and like this video so more people can see it, because I know there's a huge portion of the community who can benefit from one part of this or another. I stream all of my leveling, farming, and Uber operations live on Twitch quite a few times a week, so if you're looking for some live interaction and entertainment, make sure you follow from the link in the description down below. There will of course be a few other helpful links, like one to the Noodle Gang Discord where a lot of us have been hanging out lately, so don't be a stranger and come on in. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Happy grinding, travelers, and we'll see you next week.